Hey, yo, what's going on? This is your man, Shabir Aleem. What's happening? What's popping? Tell you what's dropping. Another episode. Yeah, another episode of Daddy's Right Here Live. Yeah, I'm your host, as always, Shabir Aleem. What's happening, y'all? So, today's topic, manage your emotions. Yeah, you need to learn how to do that. You know, um, if you take a look right now, let's just do a feelings check right now. Right now, how you feel this morning? Right? How you feeling right this second? That's what I want you to do. Just take a quick second or so and just do a feelings check. See, and this is important, right? When you get up in the morning, whether you're still laying in the bed, whether you're up and about right now, whether you've already been out and about, right? What are you feeling? Not what are you thinking? And thinking, that's for the men, because you typically ask men how they feel, and we tell you what we think. It's just some kind of instinctual thing for us to begin to think. We're problem solvers, we're caretakers, we're protectors. And because of that, first thing we do is we go to our intellect to address things because we're not conditioned. Our upbringing does not promote such because we're told to suppress our feelings. That's what we're often taught to do. Suppress your feelings. Don't be crying about it. Get mad about it. Move on. Getting asked questions. You have to answer them questions. You don't have to answer anything. You're a man. You handle your business. Right? So if you're feeling right now, what are you feeling? Why are you feeling what you're feeling? What's resting on your spirit? Yeah, there's something always resting on our spirit, right? And if you're anything like me, dealing with depression and anxiety, you can go through a whole array of emotions in a matter of minutes. Yeah. Thing is, though, you can't do two at the same time. You can't be happy and sad at the same time. I don't care what you think. You can't be joyful, jumping up and down, and yeah, and what's going on, and meanwhile you're sad, right? You can smile through it. You can laugh through it. You can fake the funk, but you can't experience them both at the same time, right? Because when you got negative things resting on your spirit and you're trying to push through, you're around people, you're participating in a family function, or you and the family out somewhere, or you just trying real hard to be positive. You can show some signs of it because you know how to act. We know how to act. We're great at acting. You ever walk past somebody and say, "Good morning, how you doing?" And they say, "Good morning." They don't get to the other part. Why? Do you really want to know how I'm doing? No, you don't. If you said good morning, how you doing to somebody, what's going on, what's up, and they start spilling out all of the things that are going on in their lives, because we all got stuff going on. How you going to respond to that? How you going to react to that? Like, dude, I was just saying, being cordial. I wasn't really trying to find out, like, how you doing. How many people really care how you doing? It's just an automatic thing that we do when we encounter other people. We just naturally say, "How you doing?" We don't care how you doing, and what we just usually listen for is really we're not listening for anything, but we want to hear "I'm good." Because if somebody says, "I'm awful, man, I'm going through it right now," are you going to stop and engage them? Help them walk through what they're going through? Are you going to do that? Guy like me, yeah, I'm a listen to you. I am. I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna talk to you. That's who I am, right? I'll help you, work work through those things, and we'll have a great, wonderful conversation as though we were familiar. You would think we were familiar because that's the kind of person that I am. But there's also points in that conversation where I have to establish a boundary too, because being a caring, loving person that I am, a clinically sound person that I am, I'm going to naturally adapt right in the moment, and I'm going to embrace this opportunity because that's what it is. It's an opportunity, to help somebody get through something. Yeah, because that's what I do. So it's natural for me, not just in the workplace. It's just natural for who I am because I've learned that, I am thankful. I'm grateful for the life that I have today. Waking up this morning, it's always a response to me when somebody asks me how I'm doing. I just tell them, hey, another day above ground. And as prepared that I am for the next life, right? Um, I'm appreciative of another day above ground, on this earth, in this place, because that means I got one more day, one more chance to help somebody else. Plain and simple. I have an opportunity to make right the wrongs that I've done in my life and the wrongs that I do in my life. You know, you got to always be practicing, random acts of kindness to people. But if you're not managing your emotions, it's difficult to do. If you can't identify what your emotions are other than angry and happy, then that's a problem because there's so much in between. We get these emojis when people send us messages and emails and texts. In social media, we see these smiles, we see these, different expressions. Those are emotions. That's why they're called emojis. That's why they're called emojis. They are signs of how you feel. And we use them. I see a lot of people use them, but can you actually say that that's what you are feeling in the moment? You may be responsive to what somebody is posting and saying, "Great, I'm glad that they're doing good. I'm glad that they're happy. Congratulations, all of those things." But is that what you're feeling in the moment? That's just a response to something. But just think about if you posted something on social media that talked about the difficulties you were having. People would say a variety of things, right? They're just responses to. But if you called them on the phone and you wanted to have a conversation, what would they be able to say beyond what they've already posted? See, so you can't look towards somebody else to really aid you in working through what it is you can work through within yourself, because you know what just presented to you. You know what's resting on your spirit. But do you know how to manage what's happening right now? And that's part of the difficulty of life, being able to manage what's happening right now, to be in the moment and in the moment processing what's happening with you inside. That's what you have to begin to do. You get angry about something because somebody just says something that you are in disagreement with. Why are you in disagreement with it? Why are you becoming disagreeable? There's a difference. We don't have to, agree on everything. And sometimes the expectation is that when we're talking to other people, that we want to find people who are like-minded. We want to find people who are in alignment with our same thinking. The problem begins with the thinking. That's where the problem begins. The problem begins with your perception of what's happening. And that's when your feelings start coming into play. It's based on thinking. It's not the event. It's not the activity that just took place. That's the problem. It's your perception of what just took place. Who it took place with. Where it took place. Who was around when it took place. What preceded that. So you have to do a historical review of yourself in order to begin to do some work on managing your emotions. Sometimes medication is needed. Sometimes it's just plain old behavioral. And you have to begin to know the difference, right? Because with depression comes mood swings. You go into these moments of being energetic to pure lifelessness. And because that's not who you are, that lifelessness weighs heavy on you. And you feel like you got to push harder. And when you're pushing harder, trying to get back to a place that you want to be, it becomes frustrating. What happens when you become frustrated? You become angry. What happens when you become angry? Well, everybody around you is at risk. So somebody can say or do the slightest thing, and you'll jump right on it because you're not monitoring yourself. So emotional management comes with some work. It's an awareness, understanding your triggers, understanding yourself. But many of us don't invest energy into looking into ourselves. That means everybody around you actually controls you. Yeah, everybody is controlling you. The news media controls you. It controls your thinking about who you're going to vote for, who you're not going to vote for. What group of people do you hate? We're real good for that. We sit down and we watch TV. We hate the Middle Easterners because they're Muslims, because they're the ones that did this and they're the ones that did that. Well, we hate the LGBTQ people because they told us that these people are bad people, and we're in disagreement with that. We have our own religious convictions, and this is why we really don't even understand our own religion. So we have all these embedded biases that we don't take a look at. If you've never spent time with someone from the Middle East, if you've never spent time with a Muslim, a Catholic, a Christian, a Jew, how could you possibly form an opinion based on just watching social media? How do you do that? How do you do that? You have to see where we're all being controlled. There's a narrative that we're fed every day, every moment of the day. And then we encounter other people. And we look at those narratives that are being placed before us, and then we interact with people, and we have the narrative in the forefront of our minds, and that's how we engage one another. That's the core of hate. That's the core of hate. So when you say that you're not racist, but you can say someone white is racist because they interacted with you, a non-white, in a particular manner, you automatically go on that bandwagon of they're all racist, they're all devils. But you don't look at yourself and see how you're interacting with them, how you interact with whites, how you interact with the Jewish people, the Christian people, so on and so forth. If you're not of their faith, how you react to them. You don't even take a look at all of these things. You're driven by somebody else's desire to keep us divided and falling apart. and not just falling apart as a group of people, but as individuals, because there's so much that you make yourself contend with that don't even belong to you. None of that belongs to you. None of it. If you never saw social media and you just experienced the world without television, without the Facebook and all this other stuff, how would you react to the rest of the world? Think about it. If you didn't hear the news about a shooting, a stabbing, or a bombing or something like that here or abroad, how would you be living your life? Think about it for a minute. Just 1 minute. Just think about it. Who's giving you this information? Why are you being given that information? It's a matter of controlling the populace, getting everybody on the same page, but different ones, if that makes sense. The page is the narrative. The narrative comes with many layers. Then you have to look at the things that you experienced in childhood, right? So you have the parenting, the caretaker layers of information. Then you have these interactions that happen with other people and the narratives come into play, or somebody else's experience, like, that's not my friend. So because that's not your friend, that can't be my friend either. Because how can you be friend with somebody I oppose? How can you vote for somebody who I oppose, who I have a differing opinion about? Yeah, we're not even going to get into the whole electoral thing, elections and politics today. Not today. But the bottom line on it is these are the things that we encounter every day. And that's who we've become as a people, as a country, as a world, based on what somebody else said. And it's so immature in thinking. It's so juvenilistic in nature. Does it matter to you that these are the things that you've allowed to condition, that I've allowed to condition myself to be? That's where wisdom comes into play. You understand? That's where wisdom comes into play. So if you're thinking the same way today as you were 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 plus years ago, then that's part of the problem. Because you are still in an immature state of being. You have not grown. You have not come into the being at the age that you are, because there are stages of development that where the human being should be doing particular things. You expect for an infant to be a toddler, to be walking, to be expressing some words, to be doing certain things. Like, you're 3 years old. Why are you not using the potty? Why are you still going to the bathroom on yourself? Why are you still asking for a bottle? Well, you have the responsibility to potty train. And when they're ready, they're ready. But you have to introduce them to the tool. You have to introduce them to the tool. An infant doesn't need you to grab them by their hands and come on, walk, walk, walk. They will walk when they're ready. And most of the times they walk when you least expect it. Like when you're in the kitchen cooking and you hear this little, and you turn around and, Daddy, Mommy, you understand? So your help is not needed there. Self-help books and things of that nature teach you how to become aware of self. You have to be aware of the things that happen for you innately. But most importantly, you have to begin to look at life through a lens of your goals, your achievements, your aspirations, your hopes, your dreams. You can't let anything stand between you and those things. And we are conditioned to allow those things to stand between us and forward progress. If your heart is laden with hate, disagreeable content, just negativity, it's going to be a rough road. And it's been a rough road for many of us because we don't want to look at ourselves. We want to keep blaming somebody else. But we're not looking at why are we angry? Who are we angry at? What are we angry for? Why are we in this condition? Why are you so unhappy? You have to think about these kind of things. So today, there's an article that I want to uh, discuss. It's on Psychology Today, as always. That's my go-to source in most cases. It's readings like this that help me to continue to grow. It's easy to fall back into the old ways of thinking, the old ways of doing. It's real easy to do that. It is so easy to do it. And it's important that we are eating, absorbing information that aids our growth. If you're around a group of people and everybody's doing the same thing, nobody's achieving, everybody wants to go out and do all the negative things, everybody wants to go out and do the club, everybody wants to go and smoke weed, get lifted, get lit, blazed, whatever you want to call it, and that's all you're going to do. And you're going to struggle within yourself. And a lot of you right now are struggling in that circle. But you're afraid to break away. And you're afraid to break away for a variety of reasons. But only you know those reasons. I can't tell you those reasons. But I can tell you that when I broke away from those thinking people, and I gravitated towards those who were more in alignment with where it was that I was trying to go, my life changed. It changed. When I started being around people who weren't in that street life anymore, never have been, when I stopped being around people who were, just getting flowed all the time, always partying, all that, they were just, hiding from their own reality, right? Because that's ultimately what you're doing. You're hiding from your own reality. Right? You got to face these things. And when you hide from your own reality, the reality of what's happening with everybody else becomes issues for you. It becomes a condition for you to always have something to say about those things. But when you only focus on your own condition, when you only focus on pursuing your hopes, dreams, and aspirations, life changes. I started being around people who were, academically, astute. These people they pursued, academics, to be able to get to particular levels, in the workplace and things of that nature. And I started because that's what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do. That was my focus. These are people, who were guiding me, helping me, helping me get to a place I wanted to be. Right? So you have to begin to look at you. Stop looking at everything right. Stop getting caught up in social media is the worst thing in the world. If you are not conditioning yourself to take a look at you and change and become better today than you were yesterday. I flip through, I scroll through. Primarily, what I do is I see what's going on with people I'm following, what their achievements are, how they come along with things. If I see somebody who has some sadness, some grief going on, I'll respond to that. You know what I'm saying? But, when you're looking for somebody to give likes and all this, and you keep checking to see if you got some thumbs up, this, that, and the other, that's a setup. That's a setup. It's a setup. It's a setup. Never expect for people who are following you to have your best interests at heart. I don't care who it is. I don't care who it is. Stop being on social media thinking people are going to support products that you're selling and things of that nature. Listen, if that's why they connected with you, that's what they're going to do. If they just want to, just they like what you're doing, they're still connected to you. They didn't stop following you. They don't have to keep clicking on like, because that's what you're looking for. Embrace the fact that they're following you. You're not going to become a millionaire from family and friends. Don't ever believe that. People who are millionaires didn't get to be millionaires because their friends bought all their products, because family members bought all their products. You have to look at your thinking. Ain't nobody like my picture, ain't nobody like my video, ain't nobody, buy my t-shirts and my jewelry and stuff like that. That you got on there for the wrong reason. It's a marketing tool. It's a marketing option. But how many people you have following? If you got 300 people following you and only 300 people see your product, and out of 300 people, maybe 6 of them buy something from you, what you gonna do? You gonna shut down business? There's a whole world out there. It's a whole world out there. But when you keep looking for others, to do things for you, to like you and all that kind of stuff, man, you setting yourself up, because people are going to like you and dislike you. People are going to agree and people are going to disagree. What do you do when they agree? What do you do when they disagree? See, I followed one dude on social media at one point, and I'd never met the brother. And one day he said something, and I responded back with disagreement. Dude went ballistic. He went ballistic. Well, brother Sabir, so and so and so forth. You got and you ain't got to follow me. Well, I didn't unfollow him. But I kindly said to him, brother, I don't know where all this came from, but I just disagreed with what you said. It wasn't nothing intended by it, but if you took it that way, you took it that way. But I didn't unfollow him. No, because I'd never asked you to follow me. You chose to follow me. I'm going to unfollow you because we disagree? No, I just don't ride with you like that. Don't mean that I still appreciate the efforts that you're doing to bring about change in the community, because that's what I was following. I don't know you. You don't know me. I'm just looking at the cause that you represent. So I'm about the same cause. Right? And then when I met him in person, right? I saw some things, and we attended a function, and it was supposed to be a stop the violence function. And that's what he was promoting. I went and joined up with him because he asked me to come. And then he everybody's jumping on the microphone talking about the cause and all that kind of stuff, and I'm wondering, like, hey, so you wanted me involved, but you want me to go get in line and stand behind other people to get to the mic. I'm not that guy. I came to support you. If you wanted me to speak to the masses about the issues that were being confronted that day, you do that. But don't you go get on the mic and then hand it off to somebody else. So you showed me how you roll. That's fine. I'm not the person who needs to jump in front of a camera, other than what I do for Daddies Right Here and the other causes. But I'm not that dude who needs to go jump in front of a camera and be, hey, my name is Sabir Aleem, and I'm not that guy. I'm not the rah-rah dude. I'm not the rah-rah dude. Right? But then there was something else transpiring. There was another brother out there who was a vendor out there, and he was promoting, getting something, to benefit the cause. And this dude decides he wants to go confront him because he was in disagreement how this brother was going about the cause. And brother wasn't doing anything wrong, but dude was in disagreement and he was ready to fight him. I'm like, dude, we had to stop the violence function. You snap on social media about something that you said that I disagreed with. And I'm saying, come on. The two faces. You can't still be thug of the year and to be about stop the violence too. So let's go to the article. The article, Psychology Today, emotion regulation. Emotion regulation is the ability to exert control over one's own emotional state. It may involve behaviors such as rethinking a challenging situation to reduce anger or anxiety, hiding visible signs of sadness or fear, or focusing on reasons to feel happy or calm. Right? You need to take control of that. So let's go down there. How we control our emotions. While there are many ways to influence one's emotional state for the better, emotion regulation often involves what experts call down regulation, or reducing the intensity of emotions. A grieving person might down regulate his or her sadness by recalling something amusing. An anxious person may cope by distracting him or herself from the thought that is causing the anxiety. Emotion regulation can also include upregulation, or amping up one's emotions, which can be useful when an imminent danger or challenge calls for a healthy dose of anxiety or excitement. So again, it's a matter of replacing that negative emotion that's taking place right now with something positive. So it talked about, used the term down regulation, and it used the term up regulation. So when I was talking about, dealing with depression, that's the time for up regulation. Because when you're already down regulation is not going to be good. Right? Because you're just going further down. You want to hype yourself up. You want to get excited. So like when it's things that I do with the family, and I don't always want to do them, I'm not going to sit there and tell you to do. There's sometimes, listen, I want to do me, regardless of the reason. I can tell you all kind of reasons why I just want to do me, but I'm focused. I'm a person who is always doing things because that keeps me grounded. That keeps my emotions managed. I'm not the kind of dude who will sit around all day long and do absolutely nothing. I may sleep 4 or 5 hours, get up, work on some projects. That's what keeps me sane. That's what keeps me grounded. That's what keeps my spirit where I want it to be. I don't look for somebody else to make my spirit settling and, serene. That's my responsibility. If I depend on you, I'd be crazy. Right? Regardless of how loving and caring your significant other is, it doesn't matter. Regardless of how loving and caring your children are, they're always around you and they make you smile and you're so grateful to have them. It's not the point. The point is you got to get your house in order and you got to keep your house in order. This is your house right here. This is your house. You're responsible for managing it. You're responsible for keeping it in order. You understand? So when it says how an anxious person may cope by distracting him or herself from the thought, I said this in the beginning. You have to know yourself. I know I have anxiety. I know I have depression. Yes, I take medication for it. It does not stop it. It prevents it from being as intense, as intense. So I take enough to take the edge off to allow me to manage them myself. Because part of it is medication, the other part of it is counseling. Whether you choose to go to a counselor, whether you choose to use self help, you have to have some cognitive behavioral restructuring information in order for you to understand your errors of thinking. You have to do them both together. If not, you'll find yourself increasing your dosage of medication. Then you'll feel worse because now you feel too subdued. You feel too relaxed. You feel like you can't really be productive. That's why they work together. They work together. There's psychotherapy, there's cognitive behavior therapy, there's MRT, there's so many things that you can do in addition to. And eventually, if you learn how to manage those conditions because you have an understanding of self and those conditions and how they present, you may very well be able to wean off of medication. It's your desire. It's what it is that you feel you need. It's not for me or anybody else to tell you. And I don't know if any clinician who's going to tell you, right, that you have to take medication. Now, we know doctors and psychiatrists, they quickly prescribe. You know, you have different venues where, you know, especially within our school systems, people want to tell you, well, your child got ADHD, ADD, and they need to. No, emotion management. And we have to teach our children how to manage their emotions early. You must. You have to remember that children are born totally self-centered. Some of us adults have failed to outgrow the self-centeredness of a child. And we still act just like 5-year-olds when situations present themselves to us. Because we have chosen to remain in that condition. It's a choice, man. It's a choice to remain in that condition. I can't blame nobody else. It's a choice to continue to be selfish. And I know a lot of selfish people, right? A lot of selfish people, and they don't think that they're selfish. They think that they're right in their condition. They think they have the right to treat people as they do and to, you know, become the victim in every circumstance where they're actually the one who is the bearer of the bad behavior. They don't want to look at that kind of stuff, right? And you have to see those people for who they are. We're not even talking about narcissists. We're just talking about the everyday, you know, person, you know, who doesn't address their own issues. We see a lot of it, and you know, we absorb it, and we keep being drawn into their web of insanity, you know, and we don't need to be. We need to get away from them because they're not going to do us any good. They're going to keep us in that same state, just like them, because it's comfortable for them. So they want to draw you into that, as well. So back to the article. What are some basic ways of controlling emotions? Two broad categories of emotion regulation are reappraisal, changing how one thinks about something that prompted an emotion in order to change one's response, and suppression, which has been linked to more negative outcomes. Other strategies include selecting or changing a situation to influence one's emotional experience, shifting what one pays attention to, and trying to accept emotions, right? So it talked about here how one thinks about something that prompted an emotion. right? So let me give you an example here. So one of the tools in rational emotive behavior therapy is called the ABCs. Now I want you to hear rational emotive behavior therapy or treatment, right? So somebody walks past you in the supermarket, uh, their cart bumps into yours. You look at that person. This person is judged by you. If you have issues with race and this person is white, you're going to react one way. If you look at this person is an elderly person and white, you're going to look at them differently. If the person is young and has a hoodie on, you're going to look at them differently. So here we're looking at the event, the activating event, the antecedent is which is also referred to as the activating event, right? They push their card into your cart. That's the event. This person pushed their cart into mine. What is your belief about what just took place? So you're going to look at race first, right? In most cases, that's what's looked at. So let's look at it first. White, Mexican, Asian, male, female, elderly, child, right? All those things are going to come into play, right? Because if it's an elderly person, oh, that's okay, Miss Mary, because from your perception, Miss Mary is innocent of any malicious doing. You have respect for the elderly, um, and so on and so forth. So let's say that the belief is that it's a white male or a black male. If you're white, look at it from the perspective of if it's a black male, right? What's your perception of race? What's your perception of the male of that race? What's your perception of the female of that race? So now you're writing down a list of beliefs, values, based on who you see in front of you who did it. Because this is your thinking. Is this rational thinking? Is it rational thinking because the person is black and I'm white, or the person is white and I'm black? Is it rational to believe that that person has malicious intent toward what just happened toward you? Is it rational? And if you say yes, now you have to look at your convictions, right? Because again, this goes into your list, your B list. Your A list is the activating event. What just took place? Just the event. Then you're looking at your beliefs. What do you think about Middle Eastern folks? What do you think about white folks? What do you think about black folks? What do you think about so on and so forth? All of these prejudicial, all of these discriminatory things that reside within you, all these biases that reside within you, right? These are your beliefs. You need to write down all of your beliefs. All of your beliefs, write them down. Then you go to the C column. So I'll tell you, it's the ABCs. Back to the basics, right? C's. What are the consequences of these beliefs and values that you hold to? What's the consequence? So if I'm a black male and it's a white male whose cart hits mine, right? What's the consequence of me thinking that person is racist? What's the consequence? Because there's a consequence to think that. So now this is what you have to start writing under C. The consequence of holding to that belief. If I'm white and a black person runs into my cart, what's my perception? What's the consequence of that belief, of that perception? What's the consequence of it? And so on and so forth. Because there's a consequence to your thinking, to your values and the beliefs that you hold near and dear. There's a consequence to that. Then you get to the D of the ABCs, which is the disputation. Now you have to dispute. You have to dispute the beliefs. How do you dispute beliefs? Well, ask yourself, first of all, okay, so if I believe because the person doesn't look like me, that they have, they're not the same race, and they're automatically racist, the consequences of that is, like, I could never form healthy, positive perceptions, relationships with somebody who is not of the same race with me. How does that work for you? Because now you're disputing this. How does that work for me, in school, in work, in life, when I go to the store, when I'm talking to customer service? How does that work for you? What feelings do you have based on the thoughts in that moment? Because the other person is like clueless, but you all balled up in the knot. You got your panties in a bunch, and everybody else is just moving on, but you all stuck in somewhere else. Dispute the belief. Well, I was watching the news the other day, and they say, that these people, in their communities, it's always shooting, murders, and killings. That's the narrative. That's the narrative that you've concluded. Human beings kill human beings in all groups. That's rational thinking. We're not the only ones who kill each other, and that's coming from the black and the white side. But the narrative shows you something different. The narrative shows you that blacks are violent, this, that, and the other, and this is what they do. But you hold on to that belief. Dispute it. Is it true? Is it true that only blacks, only whites kill each other? You can watch the news and you can see one thing. Okay, that's the narrative. That's what's going to be pushed. We had a civil war here, right? Blacks partook in the Civil War because of the impact that it would have on their continued freedom. But it wasn't our war. And if you read anything about the Civil War, many didn't want us participating in it because they felt as though it was a war between them, not us. Because they were fighting for our continued freedom and other causes because they were in disagreement about those things. I don't. So again, if you read about the Civil War, right, you'll get some additional information on why that war happened and why blacks partook. Now I say we partook, but it was between whites. It wasn't with us. That wasn't our war. And anyone who knows about the Civil War will tell you that. So it's perception. But when you look around you, when you talk about civil rights and you look at old photos of civil rights, blacks weren't the only one marching for the rights of blacks. Never has been the case. Has always been non-blacks involved. They've always been involved. So now you're disputing your thinking because you don't have evidence to prove it. I have evidence. I grew up in South Philly in the 60s and 70s. Anybody knows about Philadelphia, period. Especially South Philly. Will know what we went through in South Philly. Riding the G bus, the 79, the 29, the 37 bus. Having rocks and bottles thrown at us. Having the bus drivers stop the vehicle and allow a group of whites to get on the bus filled with black school children. Being chased every day. I'm not filled with hate. If I wanted to be, I have evidence of why I could be. But that was them. That wasn't everybody. Many of my friends coming up in the 60s, when I moved into Wilson Park Project, many of my friends were white. I didn't go get attacked by a group of whites out going to school and come back and look at them differently. They didn't do it. It's a choice. It's a choice. Nothing has stood in the way of my progress as a human being, as an individual, but me. I chose to be in the street life. I chose to use and abuse drugs and alcohol. Those were my choices. I chose to drop out of school when I had months to go and could have graduated from high school and didn't get my diploma until the age of 34. I stood in the way of those things. Why? Because I wasn't taking a look at the decisions that I was making based on my thinking. Because I thought my mother should do this for me. I thought my father should do that for me. I thought other caretakers, my grandparents and so on and so forth, my Uncle Frank and all these people should have done this and done that. It was based on my thinking. This is why it's important that we talk to our children about their emotions, teaching them to manage it, teaching them to understand that everything ain't going to go your way. That's just not what life is. I have to make these decisions for you as an adult. When you become an adult, right? Not predicated on age. When you become an adult, then you're going to have to make these decisions. See, we have a lot of things to say about our parents when we're children. Then we have our own children and their children. Those children have a lot to say about us. Yeah. The children start seeing the struggle of parenting. That there's no clean-cut way of being a parent, that each child is different, each parent is different, each person has their own conditioning. So you have to begin to change your thinking. When you have a child, you have to begin to change your thinking. You have to begin to teach your child the truth about things. That's your responsibility. It's not the education system's responsibility to teach your child how to sit their behind down in the chair. That's not. If you know your child, is a quick learner and they get bored easy, things like that, you need to put things in a book bag. You need to have a conversation with the teacher and say, hey, him and I have talked, he this, that, and the other. And so in his bag, when he's done his work, he has some things in his bag that keeps him occupied. Because see, I was one of those kids who I'd get my work done and then I want to read. And I read and read and read. I didn't want to turn the book in when it was time to collect books. I'd run, get up under the table, do all kind of stuff. Next thing I know, I look up, my mother's standing in the door. Yeah, in school. So it's responsibilities that we have. As parents, we need to begin to make those changes. Most importantly, we need to make those changes to ourselves. How can I learn to control, control emotional outbursts? Yeah, it's a good one. Practicing habits such as mindful acceptance of emotions, shifting attention away from the source of negative emotions, or reframing emotional situations, such as thinking about a setback or mistake as an opportunity to learn. may be helpful, and a trained therapist could be a valuable partner in enhancing emotional control. Listen, there's going to be things that are going to happen every day in life. Everything happens for a reason, right? You need to use every moment as a teachable moment, as a learning moment. Agree or disagree. You don't listen. It's not important. What's important is uh, how it impacted you, and taking a look at your perception of what just happened. Again, the ABCs, A, B, C, D. There's an E, so to evaluate. You evaluate, you know, your beliefs. You disputed the beliefs by looking at, you saw the consequences of this, right? And because of the negative consequences that you've seen about your values and beliefs, you disputed all of that, right? So now the evaluative part comes into play when you're looking at a plan, right? But what you evaluate is what you just disputed. So you evaluate it and you see, uh, is this in alignment with where I'm trying to go? Well, these beliefs continue to plague my life. Well, I continue to be subjected to self-imposed consequences based on my beliefs, based on these values that I hold near and dear, right? So now, once you evaluate those things, do you want to hold on to it, or do you want to let it go? Do you want to take control of the area of your life? If you decided that you want to take control of those things, then you move to the F portion of the ABCs. The F portion is to formulate a plan. To formulate a plan, right? How are you going to change? How are you going to go about learning how to replace a negative behavior with a positive behavior? What are some techniques that you can use? Well, one of the greatest techniques is to stop. Yeah, stop. Before you open your mouth, stop and think. You know what you're feeling right now. You've been here before. Stop and think. Do I want the same outcome? Is there going to be a different outcome if I hold on to this value, this belief about this person, about what this person is saying, the content of the discussion? Because the activating event, for instance, is this person just said something that I disagree with. Do I have to agree? Did we disagree before? Why am I still standing here disagreeing? Nothing's going to change. I'm not going to change that person. Hell, I'm having a hard time in this moment changing myself. And then you respond. You know what? Okay, listen, I disagree, but I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. And I value, the fact that you were honest, you were candid about your perception. Just because I disagree doesn't mean I have to get angry about it. Doesn't mean I have to start getting all these emotions within myself. And just that happens, and just like that. Stop and think. Nobody's telling you answer now. No, it's happening right now. Nobody said that you have to give a response right now. You don't have to. Give yourself an opportunity to stop and think. That's why it's important that you write this list. Write it down. ABCs. A, the activating event. This is the trigger for you. Just what happened? Black man pushed his cart into mine. White man pushed his cart into mine. Stop. Don't do anything else. That's what just happened. Now you go to your belief column, your B. What is my value about this? What is my perception of what just happened? What is my belief? Period. Write them down. If you hate black people, put there, my belief is I hate black people. If you hate white people, I hate white people. Right? If it's, you're homophobic, I'm homophobic. And so on and so forth. Be honest with yourself. Don't put something down there superficial. Be honest. See, what is the consequence of what I just wrote in this list of beliefs and values? What are the consequences of that? How do you get through the world joyful and happy, being racist in nature? Because the nature doesn't mean it's natural. It means your environment has created that for you. And the behavior is racist in its nature. It's not the human being's nature. It is the nature of your conditioning that makes you hate. Right? So that's the consequences of that belief. Then the D, you dispute the beliefs. Every black person is racist. Every white person is racist. Dispute that. Do you have proof? Have you met every black person? Have you met every white person? That's like telling somebody you're always wrong. You never listen. Like in conversations, people say, but you never listen to me. Never? Like I'm listening to you now telling me that I never listen, but I'm listening to you now. So is that a fact? Did I never listen? No, it's not a fact. It's not a fact. It's not a fact that all blacks, all whites, all Asians, all, so on and so forth are this way. It's no truth to that. Because I'm not focused on your race doesn't mean that I'm racist. I don't have to talk about, blacks in the way you want me to. I'm not black. I don't have to talk about whites the way you want me to. I'm not white. We want people to talk about us as black people. We want non-blacks to talk about us and to us like we are as such. Like we have to sit down and study you. Why do we have to sit down and study you? To make you more comfortable with you? To make you more comfortable with having a conversation with me? Excuse me. How stupid is that? I'm calling it what it is. It's stupid. It's stupid to believe that somebody who doesn't look like us, who is not of our culture, should be having conversation with us as though they are learned of us. Like they need to study us. And they need to say things about us as black people that are in alignment with our experience and understanding and lit. Come on. Where does that make sense? Where does it make sense? You're criticizing a non-black because they said something in a way that you didn't appreciate, because you wanted them to come from a learned perspective. How stupid does that sound? Like I'm a white male. I'm supposed to sit down and study black culture. Why? Why? Why can't I be me? Why can't I talk about race relations from the perspective that I see? You want to educate me on some more? Fine. But don't expect me to be learned on it like I'm supposed to have a master's degree in black culture. How stupid does that sound? It makes no damn sense. And that's how a lot of our beliefs and values, cause so many difficulties in this world. That's the narrative. That's the expectation. And it's working. And you don't see how senseless it is. Stupid, I'll call it. We'll call it what it is. It's stupid. It doesn't make sense. You're black, descendants of Africans, Indians, and how much do you know about their cultures? You're black. You don't even know about your ancestry. But you want me, a white male, to be learned? Come on. Where does that make sense? It doesn't. Where are you from as a black man? Lineage of who? Of what tribe? You don't know? And then when a white person sits in front of you and tells you about the tribe that you're from or that you may be from, now you're offended. Well, how do you know? You're white. But wait a minute. I just sat here and had a conversation with you as a white male to a black male about white-black relations. You got pissed and called me racist because I didn't say things in a way that was welcoming to you. I can only say what I know. Even if it does come from my one black friend. It doesn't matter. That's where I got my information from, in addition to the layer of the narrative. What makes a person racist? It's like the LGBTQI community. The only thing you can think about is sexual acts. What content religion has given you? Have you ever socialized with anybody from that community? Do you know anything about them as a person? No, you too busy worrying about what they're doing in the bedroom with their partner. Ain't none of your damn business. It's none of your business. And you all balled up in the knot as soon as you see somebody from that community in your presence. You got to make all these little immature, snide remarks about them. Derogatory remarks about them. You do the same with everybody around you. Everybody in your circle, you do the same thing. You don't separate it. This is who you are. This is why you always balled up in the knot about things. This is why you're always upset. Because all you're doing is walking around in judgment about other people's doings. You can't even get your own damn life together. I'm just telling you the way it is. I don't care if you agree or disagree. I'm telling you the way it is. I'm telling you from the perspective of a human being that knows themselves, that experiences these things on a daily basis, that puts these things into play so I can have a better, healthier life. It's one of the main reasons why I chose not to follow an organized religion. Because of all the hypocrisy, because of all the mixed messages. I choose to live a spiritual life. Islam will always be a foundation for me because Islam is a way of life. I choose not to fall into the dogma, all the other stuff. I follow, I understand. Listen, the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, read them all, embrace them all, because I believe in God, his books, his messenger, his angels, and the afterlife. But I choose not to follow organized religion. My relationship with God is personal. It's just like you walking up to me and asking me what color drawers I got on. That's personal. It's none of your damn business. Stay in your lane. That leads to a more joyful, prosperous, healthy life. When you stay in your lane, when you live your life and you stop worrying about somebody else's. Because what I eat don't make you poop. And vice versa. So I choose to eat positivity. And when I choose to eat positivity, I start removing everything else from my plate. And sometimes that includes another person. Oh man, listen, we are at the hour. Well, we had a great one today. I was just getting flowing. And so we're going to stop there on how much you can control emotional outbursts, right? Because at the end of the day, see, I just got emotionally involved in this discussion. Why? Because of my beliefs and value about that, about this subject matter, about life. You need to be more assertive in bringing about change within your own life. You can't continue to just sit back and just allow yourself to dwindle away by adhering to a narrative that others have put in place to keep us divided, not just from one another, but us divided inside of our own damn selves. We are at war within our own self and don't even see it. Don't even see it. That's why it's important that we get ourselves in alignment with the spiritual foundation, with God. Not from dogmatic perspectives, right? But there's an innate connection between us and God. And the more you move yourself towards that alignment, the more you move away from the shenanigans and you don't want any parts of it. But that's the only way you're going to get to where you need to go. It's no other way to go. It just isn't. So we're gonna continue this talk next week. We'll finish up this article, but just realize, man, that change is difficult, but it's necessary. I'm sorry, I couldn't. I wouldn't want to be here at this point in my life at 63, almost 64, like feeling like I did when I was 60, 50, 40, right? I have wisdom. I've taken the time to understand myself for 30 years. After 30 years post street, this is where I'm at. It's a choice, man. No, I'm not crying. Y'all tell y'all my eyes water. But it is a sensitive subject. Right? So, it's a choice, man. Go ahead and just walk away from this bad relationship that you have with yourself. Walk away from the bad relationship like you would any other bad relationship that was not feeding your spirit positivity. Walk away. Make that choice. Make the decision to take action and walk away from this relationship right now. Yeah. And that one too, if you need to. I'm your host as always, Shabir Aleem. I'll see you guys next Saturday. Yeah. 9 a.m. right here. Daddy's right here live. Y'all have a great day. Peace.